2 hours and 32 minutes. That's the average daily screen time for kids under 8, according to Common Sense Media's most recent census. And every single parent I know has looked at that number and felt like garbage.
And that number, on its own, tells you almost nothing about whether any given child is fine.
See, that's the thing. I stare at the screen time report on my phone every Sunday. It buzzes at me like a little judgment machine, and I have no idea if I'm ruining them or if it's Tuesday.
The Sunday guilt notification. Apple built a confession booth into the settings menu.
I'm Maya, by the way. 2 kids under 6, currently negotiating with a 4-year-old over an iPad as we speak.
Oliver Hart. I read the actual study so you can feel less terrible about yours.
And I'm Theo. My kids are teenagers now, so I've been on the far side of this mountain, and I'm here to tell you the view is not what you think.
The core problem, Maya, is that how many minutes is the wrong question. It's been the wrong question for about a decade, and the science has quietly moved on while the panic stayed exactly where it was.
Okay, but push back on me here, because minutes is the only thing I can actually measure. It's the number the phone gives me.
Right. And that's precisely why it's stuck. It's measurable, not because it's meaningful. Here's the tell. There was a very large study, Amy Orban and Andrew Przybilski, around 2019, using data on hundreds of thousands of adolescents.
The potatoes. 1.
The potatoes one, yes. They found the statistical link between screen time and adolescent well-being was tiny, on the same order as the effect of, and this is the actual comparison they drew, eating potatoes or wearing glasses.
Wait, screens are as bad for my kid as potatoes.
Roughly as associated with lower well-being as potatoes in that data set. The point wasn't that screens are healthy. The point was that a single number, total hours, is such a blunt instrument that it drowns out everything that actually matters.
And that lands because think about what 2 hours is hiding. 2 hours of a kid alone, slack-jawed, watching autoplay recommend the next thing and the next thing. That is not the same 2 hours as a kid video calling their grandmother in another country.
Or my 6-year-old and I building a Minecraft house while arguing about whether we need more torches.
Exactly that. Same 2 hours on the report. Completely different childhood.
And that's the whole shift in one sentence. Content and context beat quantity. Who's the child with? What are they actually doing? And the one everybody forgets. What is it replacing?
Instead of what? Okay, that's the phrase I keep hearing this year.
The technical name is the displacement hypothesis, and it's honestly the most useful lens I can hand you. A screen isn't harmful in the abstract. It's potentially harmful because of what it pushes out. Sleep, movement, face-to-face talk, boredom even.
Boredom's a benefit now?
Boredom is where kids find out who they are when nobody's entertaining them. I watched it happen. My daughter went through a stretch at maybe 13 where we pulled the tablet at dinner, and the first 3 nights were a hostage situation. And by week 2, she'd started drawing again. Not because we told her to, because the room got quiet enough that the drawing could come back.
And notice what Theo did there, which the research supports. He didn't reduce a number, he protected a slot. Dinner. That's the move. Anna Weinstein and others have argued for years the question isn't total dose, it's whether screens are eating the load-bearing parts of the day.
Okay, that I can use tonight, so it's not cut an hour, it's which hour.
Which hour? If the screen is eating the hour before sleep, that's a real problem. Sleep displacement is one of the few links that shows up consistently. If it's eating a rainy Saturday afternoon, when the alternative was you both losing your minds indoors.
That's not displacement, that's survival, and survival counts.
Can I confess something? The survival screen is the one I feel guiltiest about. The Saturday, I'm fried one.
That's the one you should feel least guilty about, Maya.
I'd go further. A calm parent is an input to child development. A parent who's regulated because they got 40 minutes to breathe is doing something protective. That trade rarely makes it into the guilt math.
So who decided we should feel this bad? Because the guilt feels manufactured. Somebody profits from it.
There she goes.
I'm serious. Every Sunday buzz, and then conveniently there's an app that promises to fix it for $9.99 a month.
You're not wrong to follow that. There's a whole industry now. Parental control software, healthy screen subscriptions, digital wellness coaching, and its entire business model requires you to stay anxious. Anxiety is the customer acquisition funnel.
And the flip side of the same coin. The platform's designed for maximum engagement in the first place. So one set of companies hooks the kid, and a second set sells you the antidote.
It's the same guy selling you the disease and the cure.
The most cited voice on the harm side lately is Jonathan Haidt. His book, The Anxious Generation, was enormous in 2024, a huge bestseller, and he makes a strong claim that the smartphone rewired childhood and drove the teen mental health crisis, especially for girls after around 2012.
And a lot of parents felt that in their bones. I did.
You did? And here's where I have to be the killjoy. A number of researchers push back hard. Candace Odgers wrote a pointed review in Nature, basically saying the evidence for phones causing the crisis is far thinner than the confidence of the argument. Correlation, timing that doesn't line up cleanly across countries.
So who's right?
Honestly, the data is messier than either headline. Something real happened to adolescent mental health in the 2010s. Whether the phone is the cause, a contributor, or partly a way distressed kids seek help, that's genuinely unsettled.
But, Oliver, here's where I can't fully sit in the "it's messy" chair with you. I don't need a randomized trial to know a 12-year-old scrolling comparison content at midnight is being fed something no 12-year-old should digest alone.
I don't disagree about that specific thing. That's my point. The specific thing is bad. Screens as a category is meaningless.
So what's actually new? This is episode 3. You promised me fresh, not the same potato study from 2019.
Fair. A few threads worth flagging as of this year. 1. The American Academy of Pediatrics quietly moved years ago off the rigid 2-hour rule toward a family media plan approach. Personalized, not one size. That's the establishment itself admitting minutes was the wrong frame.
Which almost nobody's phone guilt is caught up to.
2. The World Health Organization's guidance for the under 5s still leans conservative. Essentially no screen under 1, very limited under 5. And I'll be honest, that guidance rests on weaker evidence than its confident tone suggests. It's precautionary, not proven.
So even the official numbers are partly vibes.
Partly precaution, which is a respectable vibe, but yes. And 3, the more interesting recent work is on co-use and on active versus passive. A kid watching a well-made show and then talking about it, or a caregiver narrating along. That looks meaningfully different from passive solo consumption, especially for the little ones, where the video deficit effect is real.
The what effect?
Video deficit. Very young children, toddlers, learn a task noticeably worse from a screen than from a live person doing the exact same thing. It's one of the more replicated findings for the under 3s.
But it shrinks when the screen talks back. Video chatting with grandma isn't the same as a passive video because grandma responds to them.
Correct. Contingent interaction. The screen that answers is a different animal from the screen that broadcasts.
So a FaceTime with grandma is basically a different food group than an autoplay cartoon.
Beautiful way to put it. And that reframes the whole guilt, right? You're not counting calories. You're checking the food group.
Okay, give me the tonight version. I've got a 4-year-old and an almost 6-year-old. What do I actually ask myself instead of staring at the minute?
3 questions. What? With whom? Instead of what?
Let me take what, because it's the one parents overthink. It's not about educational badges on the App Store. Half those are marketing. It's simpler. Is this thing something they do or something that's done to them?
Do versus done to.
A building game they're doing. A creation app, a video call they're doing. An infinite feed of short clips optimized to keep them swiping. That's being done to them. Same screen, opposite relationship.
And the design tell is autoplay. If the next thing starts without a decision, the product has taken the steering wheel away from the child. That's the single feature I'd nuke in every household.
Kill autoplay. Okay, that's a setting. I can do that in 5 minutes.
That one setting does more than an hour of hand-wringing.
With whom? That one I think I already fail. Mine are usually watching alone while I make dinner.
Don't hear that as failure. You cannot co-watch everything. No human can. But you can pick the anchor moments. One shared show. You in the room, occasionally saying, wait, why'd he do that?
And the research reason that works. You're doing what's called dialogic engagement. You turn passive input into a conversation, which is where the actual language and reasoning growth lives. The screen becomes a prompt, not a babysitter, for that window.
So I don't have to co-watch 4 hours. I have to co-watch 15 good minutes.
And ask a real question about it. What would you have done? That's the whole trick.
Then instead of what, which is the one I tattoo on the fridge? Before the guilt, ask what this screen is replacing right now. Sleep? Pull it. A meal together? Pull it. A stretch where the realistic alternative was chaos and you needed 10 minutes? Let it go, genuinely guilt-free.
So the same 20 minutes gets a completely different verdict depending on what it's standing in for.
That's the entire science, honestly, compressed. Not the dose, the trade.
All right, I want you two to actually fight about something because you've been suspiciously civil.
Fine. Oliver, phones and teenagers. First one, what age?
I won't give you an age, because the evidence doesn't support a magic number, and
See? And that's where the science lets parents down. Because I had to make the call at a real dinner table with a real crying kid, and the evidence is unsettled, is not a thing you can say to a 13-year-old.
that's completely fair, and I'll own it. Research gives you priors, not decisions. But here's my worry about the confident age rules, the no smartphone till 16 pledges. For some kids, the phone is the lifeline. Queer kids in unsupportive towns, kids with rare conditions who find their people online.
I grant you that. Fully. My pushback is the default. I think the default should be later and slower than most parents do it, and you make exceptions upward. You start restrictive and loosen.
And I'd start with the functions, not the device. A phone that texts and maps is a tool. A phone with an infinite social feed is a slot machine. Delay the slot machine, not the tool.
See, that I love, because no phone is a war and no infinite feed yet is a setting,
You keep turning our philosophy into settings, Maya.
because I have to parent in 4 minutes between now and bath time, Theo. I don't have time for your mountain view.
And honestly, that's the correction the whole field needs. We've handed parents dread and abstractions. The useful stuff is small and boring. Kill autoplay. Protect sleep and meals. Co-watch a little. Ask what it's replacing.
Can I do the far side of the mountain part? Because I think it's the reassurance Maya's actually asking for.
Please, I need it.
My kids are teenagers. They had screens, sometimes too much, and I made peace with the fact I'll never know the exact right number because it doesn't exist. What I can tell you is what survived. The stuff that mattered was never the minutes. It was whether we kept the conversations open.
Which, if you want the unsexy research version, tracks parental warmth and communication are far stronger predictors of adolescent outcomes than screen hours in basically every study that measures both.
The screen was never the relationship. It was one thing happening inside the relationship. And if the relationship's alive, you can course correct anything. If it's not, no app blocker saves you.
Okay, that actually loosens something in my chest.
And it should, because the guilt itself has a cost. A parent marinating in shame is more reactive, less warm, more likely to make the screen a battleground instead of a boring household thing.
The guilt is displacing my patience.
Now you've got it. The guilt is the screen time of parenting, a number you stare at that measures the wrong thing.
Put that on the fridge.
Gives me my try it tonight, both of you, 1 line each. Oliver?
Turn off autoplay on whatever they use. One setting does more than a lecture.
Theo?
Pick one show, sit down for 15 minutes, and ask them one real question about it.
And mine? I'm deleting the Sunday guilt notification off my own phone because I am not the study and I don't need the weekly grade.
That might be the most evidence-based thing said today.
The whole reframe in one breath. Stop asking how long, start asking what, with whom, and instead of what.
What, with whom, instead of what? That's the episode.
And if you remember nothing else, the minutes were never the story. The trade was the story.
We're raising humans. Go co-watch something terrible with a small person and ask them why the dragon's sad.
Next week, the Sleep Wars, because apparently I have a death wish. See you then. This episode was generated with AI by Demades.